Imagine we're walking among the ancient Israelites, pilgrims ascending the steep, paved road up to the temple in Jerusalem. We walk among Israelites from every tribe, each on their own way to the temple to offer korbanot, sacrifices that bring them closer to God. All around us, psalms are being sung. These psalms are the songs of ascent, psalms that speak to the very experience of ascending as pilgrims to the holy temple. Joyously, a person to our left sings, Shir Hamalot Bashuv Adonai et Shivat Zion Hayinu Kecholmim. When the Eternal restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like dreamers. Our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. Behind us, another person calls out, this one with a heavy heart, Esa enai el heharim me'ayin yavo ezri. I lift up mine eyes unto the mountains, from whence shall my help come? My help cometh from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. The road steepens as we draw nearer to the Temple Mount. To our right, dozens of Israelites are crowded around a stepped, monumental stone podium. This podium is called the Stone of Losses. As we get closer, we hear the ancients calling out, but these Israelites are not singing songs of ascent. Instead, at the Stone of Losses, they're searching for what they've lost. One calls out for a lost cloak. Another one searches for lost sandals. A third for an earthenware vessel. We're also on a pilgrimage. While I do believe what the psalmist wrote, that one day our asking shall be answered, we will find what we are looking for. We will dwell in the home of God all the days of our lives and behold the graciousness of the Eternal. This was not our year. This year, we don't get to the mountaintop. This year, our place is just below it, at the Stone of Losses. This, and not the temple, is the destination of our pilgrimage. But unlike the ancients at the stone, we are not here to search for what we lost. Instead, we're at the Stone of Losses to name what we lost and to offer our losses as sacrifices. The Stone of Losses is our altar, and what we have lost, we offer as korbanot. Our ancestors at the temple sacrificed pigeons and turtle doves, goats, sheep, and oxen to get closer to God, but our losses alone do not bring us closer to the Holy One. For us to feel the presence of God amidst our loss, we have to name our losses and then dare to move from what did we lose to what do we do with our losses. In the fragile space between lamenting our losses and making meaning from them, right here is where we draw closer to God. So what losses do we name? We lost the ones we loved, some either to the coronavirus, others as one of the 200,000 COVID-adjacent excess deaths, many who were elderly, alone, and isolated. Some of us lost not only once, but twice, when the pandemic kept us from being at the bedsides of our loved ones as they lay dying, or at their gravesides as we lay their souls to rest. Our lost beloveds lost on that too. What did we lose? Some of us lost our jobs or took cuts in pay, and we lost our sense of financial security. Most of us lost our routines, and many of us lost the social connections that are key to our well-being. We lost going to temple and to the JCC and seeing the people who were an everyday part of our lives. Our kids lost going to school and playing with friends and soccer and baseball. And we lost not only the ability to go to our offices, many of us lost the separation between home and work and are now working 24 hours a day. We lost long-awaited plans and the great expectations that went with them. We lost trips to Israel, dream vacations, bucket list adventures, 50th birthday celebrations. We made the best of it, but no one dreams of wedding celebrations postponed, or drive-through high school graduations, or B'nai Mitzvah moved to Zoom. Many of our losses were ambiguous, losses without closure or an understanding of what we lost. Ambiguous loss is hardest on those who are the doers and the fixers. I know personally I've grappled with questions like, when is this going to end? When will we return? And to what will we return? It's hard to sit with even temporarily unanswerable questions. We are pilgrims on a pilgrimage to the stone of losses and back again. This is a rite of passage. This is our first communal rite of passage since the Second World War. Like our ancestors who left behind their familiar lives to journey to Jerusalem for the Chagim and eventually returned home changed by the experience, our pilgrimage also has 3 steps. We take these steps while barely traveling at all. We left behind what we knew. Life before the pandemic, we're being changed by life during the pandemic, and when these troubled times pass, and I promise you, they're gonna pass. But we're gonna be different than we were before. Roshi Joan Halifax teaches the 3 steps this way. The first step, she says, is separation. Many of us separated and remain isolated from our dearest friendships. In public, masks separate us, making verbal communication hard and nonverbal even harder. We separated from our routines, separated from the physical closeness of our relationships. We separated from our educational and our work environments. We're separated from stability, and we're separated from certainty about the future. The second step is called the threshold experience. That's where we are right now. At this bewildering threshold is where the stone of losses lies. It's no wonder that thresh and thrash do share an etymological root. We have less security in this vulnerable place. None of us are who we were. Neither are we yet who we're going to be. The threshold is a hard place to be. But what hangs on our doorposts at the thresholds of our homes? Mezuzot, which tell us who is with us in the in-between. The first words on the scroll of the mezuzah are Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God. The Lord is one. God is here. God is a part of the threshold experience. God is at the crossroads. God dwells between the life that was and the life that will be. When Moses cried out to the Eternal, what shall I tell the people is your name? The Eternal answered, Ehyeh asher ehyeh, I will be that which I am becoming. God wanted the people to know that God would be with them on that threshold in the wilderness. Even here, even now, on the threshold of this strange pilgrimage, let us call out a song of ascent. Adonai yishmar tzetcha uvuecha me'ata ve'ad olam. The Eternal shall guard thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and forever. Friends, we're not alone. God is our steadying presence in this off-balanced in-between. Locating God during hard times, well, it starts to move us from what did we lose to how do we make meaning from our loss. It's important to understand that finding God on the threshold doesn't alone equal finding meaning. That's always going to be our work to do. But God gave us the gift of Jewish wisdom, and we have the rhythms of Jewish living to inspire our search. How do we start to make meaning from our loss? Both Jewish wisdom and Jewish living toward us point us toward striving for more compassion. Compassion, literally suffering together, begins when we affirm our interconnectedness. Compassion allows us to hold our own pain while also bearing witness to the suffering of others. We're all in this together. Even when we can't repair the brokenness, we can always share it and lighten the load. The first step of the pilgrimage is separation. Then, the crossroads of the threshold experience. The threshold is where God is and where we bear witness to each other's struggles. One day, not today, but one day, we will experience the third and final step of this rite of passage, integration and return. We left home on a pilgrimage. Someday we will return and we will be transformed by this. When these storms have passed, when the skies have cleared, when we stand side by side with our faces lit by the glow of a beautiful sunrise, my prayer to us tonight is that we will have been changed for the better. These are hard times to be sure, but God dwells here on the threshold. This moment can teach us compassion. In gaining compassion, may we be filled with greater humility. May we be inspired to live and act more lovingly. Finally, may this overwhelming upheaval help us to grow deeper in our faith that we are not alone, that God is here. Gam ze ya'avor, this too shall pass. Stand with me again, one more time at the stone of losses. Close your eyes and listen. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy, shall reap in joy. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy, shall reap in joy.